we come to you with a wondrous, illustrious topic of depth.
Ooh.
And that is identity. I look at my hair, I'm like, is it covering the mic? We're going to talk about identity today. And Marshall and I are both very excited to explore the deep and treacherous waters of this subject matter, and really just to have an open conversation about how it applies to our own lives, how it showed up, how we define it, why it matters, because it intersects with so many facets of the experience of being a person, and how we relate to ourselves, how we relate to others, how we relate to the earth, how we relate to essentially everything within our lives. So it feels pertinent. And I know we talked about intentions, permission to be messy. We're just two dudes walking the path and doing our best. So we really aim for this conversation to be supportive in whatever ways it is. So I would love to hear from you, Marshall. Would you be open to sharing your definition of identity and how you're framing it currently in this season?
Sure. Yeah. I like everything you said about how it does feel kind of important now. And not that it was never not important, but it's becoming a bigger sort of part of the things that I've been thinking about, and just having more conversations with people about identity. I'm kind of surprised sometimes when people bring it up. And I'm like, oh no, you've been thinking about that too? So for me, I guess, identity is a bit like a combination of who I believe myself to be and the personality traits that I have and the different characteristics. Kind of like if you were to ask, like, what's Marshall like? And then you like give a description, you know, like that.
Super studly, and wise, and kind, and brotherly.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And so maybe some of those things resonate with me because I feel like they are part of my identity, or maybe I want them to be. And so there's also things about myself that I've wanted to change, things that have been difficult, you know, like feeling low and feeling like depressed and anxious, parts of my experience that I didn't necessarily want to feel. And so that brought up a lot of questions about the beliefs that I have. And I think about myself a lot. I think a lot of people do.
I don't do that at all.
I never think about myself at all.
No, dude. Totally selfless.
I'm always thinking about other people.
Yep. No ego. Nothing. Just altruistic to the bone.
Yeah. And so thinking about what it is, who it is I want to be, kind of has two sides to it. One is like inspirational, like I want to be stronger and I want to be more capable and I want to be successful and I want to be a better person. And then there's the other side of, well, that must mean I don't really believe that I'm good enough as I am now. There's parts of me that I want to change or I feel like aren't good enough yet. And without really that level of awareness, it kind of just like infects your life in a way. where your decisions and your actions and your behaviors are all motivated by lack, not being good enough. So identity, coming back to how it sort of could be defined, at least for the way I'm thinking about it, is like a system of, maybe not a system, but like a culmination of beliefs that I have about myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, trying to know myself more. So that's been quite a journey, ongoing process.
Yeah. Wow. It's what a gift and a blessing to have the awareness to even assess our beliefs and to even understand that it is a major attributing factor to who we are and how many of our behaviors are rooted in the belief systems that we hold and which we've derived from a variety of experiences throughout our life. So, yeah, I think it's important to reflect on, we all have desires to show up in life in a certain way. And I think the through line and at the core of that is who we believe ourselves to be. Because I think the mind is incredibly adept at aligning our behavior with what that core belief is as to who we are. So if I think I'm worthless and I don't deserve love at all, we'll probably be unconsciously behaving in a way where we're pushing people away, and to where I'm in a position where I am reinforcing the belief that I am worthless and I don't deserve love and healthy relationships and stuff like this. And people talk a lot about self-sabotage, and that's, if we're going to speak to the why of why identity is important, I think that's a major component, because that's something we all face. It's like, why I know consuming a frozen pizza every night is not good for me, but I keep doing it. Why am I doing it? I think really digging into those beliefs and the framing of who I think I am and the words that compose that really help us start to alchemize ourselves into a more positive version of ourselves, a more ideal version. So, yeah, I'm hearing that identity is the story we have about who we are from you. I definitely resonate with that too. I'll just leave it there. Any thoughts on your end with that being said?
Yeah, the like the narrative, the story that we sort of like unconsciously or consciously kind of create for ourselves. Yeah, and it's interesting that you bring up eating frozen pizza, because like everybody likes a good frozen pizza.
Frozen pizza's hit.
Yeah,
it's no doubt.
Doing like nutrition coaching with people as a part of my job is kind of like getting a little bit deeper to what are the underlying beliefs and the underlying feelings that guide those decisions. And so I think it's really important, and when we're talking about nutrition, we, excuse me, don't always get into like the deepest parts.
It's like, Marshall, I'm just trying to, lose a few pounds. Like, I don't want to talk about who I am,
right?
Or my core belief systems and how that influences my behavior. Or it's like, being in that position of a new client who's like just starting the self-discovery journey and like, trying to modulate their physical health, improve it. It's hard to like make that connection off the bat, because there's no context. It's just like, what do you mean? Like, you're not my therapist, are you? Like, what are we doing here?
Right. But the thought that came to me about this is that the beliefs were sort of learned along the way. And so tapping into sort of like, how do we relearn new beliefs and start to like build awareness of the beliefs that we have so that we can kind of let them go?
Yeah.
Which is, it's a challenging thing. But that's like the core of transformation
Yeah.
and healing and change.
Right.
Is like I realized from my childhood and my conditioning and the society that I live in that there's certain beliefs that I have about myself or the world, but they haven't really led me in the right direction. Like something feels off. I'm not really living in alignment with what feels more true. And so the awareness of those old beliefs and how they're kind of leading to self-sabotage or destructive behaviors, that's a good step already, just having the awareness.
Right.
But then sort of learning what are the beliefs that I could have and who am I? Like, who am I? Who do I want to be? Who do I want to be?
Yeah, what have been some ways in which you've found success in recalibrating the beliefs? Like you had the awareness that there are beliefs you could be having. You started to explore that. How do you start to implement that in a practical manner? What are some steps you've taken?
So, like, when we identify with our thoughts as like kind of everything that my inner voice is kind of narrating is who I am, it is what I want, and the truth could be potentially sort of looked at it in a different way, is if I zoom out and I approach it from more of like I'm able to notice my thoughts, I'm able to notice my feelings and my sensations, you start to kind of see yourself as more than just those things.
Yeah, I think that's so important, just
Yeah.
recognizing that you can be the observer of what is coming up within thoughts, emotions, feelings, sensations. And therefore, if you're seeing these things as something other than yourself, you're no longer unconsciously identifying with what's coming up, which is what most of us tend to do. Trying to think of a specific example.
Right.
I guess a lot of people are like, I'm an anxious person. It's like as soon as you say that, you collapse your identity with that emotion, which is transient. This is something that's just coming up. It's like a wave, and essentially you could consider or coin the observer as the ocean. And waves, they culminate and then they crash. Same as any emotion would. So I think that's such an important distinction. And such an important first step as it relates to actively curating your identity, who you want to be. It's like, okay, I'm something more than just what I'm experiencing within myself. And that's practice too, to observe yourself and to notice versus just be swept up by all the stuff and swirl of sensation and input that's coming in.
Yeah, totally. And when I start to like position myself in the observer and the awareness and be present in that, then I have a lot more freedom to start to understand that like the thoughts and the feelings are not me, and I've been identifying with those for a long time. And if I want to change my behaviors and what I do in my life, I can do it from a more grounded place. And so I think...
And as soon as you start observing, you can assess whether you want to continue to fortify whatever thoughts or beliefs are there. Like, I don't know, I have a really strong inner critic, so I regularly have intrusive thoughts about, judgments towards myself for how I showed up in a certain setting. And I can let that, drive me into the dirt and really like knock my self-esteem and my self-worth, or I can see that for what it is, sidestep it, substitute it for another energy. Not that it's easy, this shit happens so fast, right? So I think, like leveraging the breath and a pause and just the recognition that you can relax into the seat of the observer and that you do have a choice from there. Those are, just some profound first steps one can take to start to shift energy, yourself as a person, just whatever, like really just on moving yourself to a trajectory that serves you more ideally.
Yeah. Tying it kind of into identity in the way that when I unconsciously identify with like who I'm supposed to be or who I should be, or like
we call that shooting on yourself, friends. You don't want to do that. It's a messy situation.
Yeah, shooting.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good to operate from obligation, pressure. I mean, I'll speak for myself, and I'm sure many people resonate.
Yeah. So like, I feel anxiety. I am an anxious person. That's identifying with the thoughts and the feelings that sort of like can be described as anxiety. And so if you're choosing pieces of your identity to like hold on to and to sort of like find ground on, find stability on, but they're not really serving you, but maybe you're just kind of scared of letting go of those things that you've identified with for a long time. But we think of these things as who we are. Like, for me, being a personal trainer and nutrition coach, like, there were so many shoulds about like who I think I should be. I should look a certain way, and I should like act a certain way. I should be like knowledgeable about so many different things, like so many shoulds. And I'm like, but there's something, me, it's a lot deeper, a lot more just whole as I am, that doesn't always need to be changing or improving. And also when I put the expectations on myself of who I should be, then I don't actually allow for the natural unfolding of who I am. And so this is where identity starts to, like, for me, become kind of two parts. There's like the way I relate to people in the world for my job and relationships, and we all have roles and things that we do in life, but there's also like a deeper sense of self that really doesn't come from any labels. And when I can,
that's tough. Because if you can't slap a word on it, then how do you understand it?
And this is where we get spiritual, I guess.
Could be a good segue. Yeah, keep going. Peeling back the layers.
Yeah. So the sense of self that we kind of named as like our identity and how we relate to others and how we kind of put ourselves out in the world. And then there's the deeper sense of self that is like awareness, is like I'm the observer of all of those things. And in that place, there's no I should, or there's no like lack. So it's innately whole. And so then it's trying to integrate kind of this deeper sense of self as the soul or the spirit or awareness. Integrating it with the outward identity that we show the world. And that is a big
podcast
task.
is over. Mic drop. You guys got some stuff to chew on.
Boy.
Yeah, I knew we would press some edges. I think just the conversation, it's very elusive.
Yeah.
some of the concepts. Some of it's more practical.
Yeah.
I can get down on that a lot more easily when I talk about who I am in the way of how I identify in my human experience. You know, I just had my first successful hunt, therefore I am a hunter. I ran 2 ultra marathons recently. I'm an ultra marathoner. I have a vital body. I'm healthy. I'm in a loving relationship. And therefore I'm a partner to Beth. So reflecting on this component of this more tangible side of the identity conversation, it's so much easier for me to explore. And then, I get more curious about what it means to integrate what you speak to, the awareness, the spiritual aspect, the deeper self, the space in which the content shows up, that unwavering, infinite mystery, God, universe, whatever, we could slap all the labels on it. Why has that been important for you? How has that served you? How is that showing up in your life in this season? Let's go that direction.
Well, I just want to say that, like right now, I see it and I feel it coming through you in our conversation, and so it's not distinctly separate.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like,
we should probably start talking about quantum physics now.
Are we a point or a wave? That's kind of the.
Sure.
I
don't know what that means. That's above my pay grade, but some people out there may know.
It's like, I might kind of butcher the explanation, but
sure.
Am I like a separate, unique individual, or am I a part of the collective whole?
Both.
So I'm both a point and a wave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm working to understand my connection to the mystery and I guess what you could call objective reality, where there is no time, there is no space, there is no you and I, and that shit sounds crazy when you're like, what are you talking about? You start listening to people like Donald Hoffman. They're talking about how physical objects don't exist if they're not being observed by humans, and that consciousness is fundamental. So, I can't say a ton about it. That's why I'm very grateful for this conversation, because I feel like you've been going in there through meditation and through your own reflections and contemplations to really grasp it more. And by grasping it, you are connecting to it. That's would be my assumption.
Yeah. What I think is maybe a helpful, just a way of thinking about this, deeper sense of self that is the soul, is spirit, is that it's not rational, it's not logical. Because I
would love it to be.
Right. It would be.
I would love it to be easier. A 2 + 2 = 4 situation.
Yeah. But it's such a felt sense, it's like an experience. And so, in terms of how do I both combine the rational logic part of me that wants to do things in the world and wants to create success and have happy relationships and get shit done, with the part of me that is innately whole and loving and caring and compassionate, which it's with me all the time, but it is not apparent all the time. I get lost in my thoughts and the world. And so we were talking earlier about this too, with embracing the humanness of that.
Yeah.
It's there's never going to be just one or the other.
Right.
You're always.
Otherwise, you're fractured, I would say, and you're imbalanced. And as a wise man once said, walk the middle path. Yeah.
The middle way.
Right. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what would be a good way for someone to get started on their connection or grasp of awareness? We talked about noticing. That seems to be a really good access point, is to sit or walk or some sort of very low stimulatory activity where you're not really engaging and you're more ambient in how you're paying attention. So sensations, feeling breath, noticing thoughts, and just witnessing all the content come up. That's something that comes to mind for me. And at first, maybe you don't make the correlation or connection to God or spirit or mystery just by doing that exercise, but I believe it gets you on the path to connecting more deeply to that, or starting to build that relationship. Or it's one of many ways, right? I mean, there's 1,000 ways to connect with God. People could harp on that for ages.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to hear, what else has been supportive of you to wrap your head around it, or your being, or however you want to put it, because we're putting rationale, logic to the side for the most, but logic needs to be applied to also approach it, I would say.
Yeah, totally. I feel like if you start right off the bat thinking that, okay, I'm going to connect with the divine, at least for me, that type of wording, like
you're like, nah, son,
it kind of already like,
I'm good, we'll pass on
I'm
connecting
like,
to the divine.
But if I can think, how can I connect with like a deeper, truer sense of me? And that I very much would like to do. And so, because I know that from that place, I'm much more at peace, And so, with meditation in all the various forms, you can do guided meditations or just sort of like sitting under a tree or like just standing, walking. But yeah, noticing the sensations. And once you like find yourself back in a thought, then you kind of like click and you're like, oh yeah, I kind of went back to the mental looping that is kind of what I normally do. Let me refocus. And so it takes a lot of focus and attention to be able to like direct your noticing on just sometimes one thing, or sometimes like, let me see if I can detect 5 different things right now going on.
Yeah, so helpful.
So
many ways.
Yeah, with your sensations and like your, it could be sight, it could be hearing, smelling, tasting, feeling, and even just connecting with your senses gives you something to focus on where you feel more grounded. And then when you're noticing the sensations in your body, you start to like inhabit your body more. And so you go from being kind of always in the mind space into, oh, this is what my body feels like right now. Oh, this is kind of what's sort of like moving through me. Oh, this is probably why I am staring at my phone and haven't left the house yet today. And like all of these behaviors and actions and things that sort of outwardly are expressed in our lives come from these deeper feelings and sensations and thoughts that all kind of culminate together.
Right. One thing I'm hearing that is integral to connecting to this component of identity, awareness, the more spiritual aspect, is slowing. And we live in a very, very high speed culture. It's from one stimulatory activity to the next, chronically doing till we fucking hit the deck and go to sleep. And then people sleep horribly, and then they get up and they do it all again. Housing coffee and stuff like that. I love doing myself, and it's been imperative for me to implement slowing, to start to develop this connection to awareness and receive the benefits of doing so. It's almost it seems to be the first step. You need to remove yourself from the hamster wheel of distraction and doom scrolling and shoving food in your face and popping another Zin in your mouth. And, you could talk for ages about all the fun levers one could pull.
Yeah.
And that's a very challenging thing to do because it's fun to, it's a shift. It's a change. It's a big change to be still with what's there, and that may be very confronting, to observe your thoughts instead of finding a way to avoid them and eject yourself from the present moment of experiencing them.
Yeah. And what you said is so true, and I wonder kind of where this comes from, and it's really learned responses to fear.
Yeah.
Every time I'm uncomfortable or I feel threatened, and slowing down can be scary. You're confronting a lot of things about yourself that you'd rather not see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which is such a wonderful opportunity.
Yeah.
And you want to talk about like becoming the person you would ideally like to be, get still and see what happens, because there's this well-renowned Harvard psychiatrist, or maybe he's I don't know, he's a professor at Harvard. He talks about the importance of getting bored. Because when you get bored, the default mode network goes on, and then your mind all of a sudden is presenting to you all the shit you're probably avoiding, or just important things that should be addressed, and that's uncomfortable. But ultimately, that's the beginning of a more rich, meaningful, deep, full experience as a person. Is like, wow, like I have the reframe can happen to where first it's knee jerk. I don't want to look at that. I don't even want to, I want nothing to do with that, to this is an opportunity for growth and attaining a new standard of life. So I don't know, I really like in the conversation around just relaxing into awareness, and then, even one step before that or inherently integrated with that is slowing down to some capacity. You don't even need to sit cross-legged and chant Om. You can go for a walk or a bike ride. These can be, first steps towards a slower pace than one could be currently going at.
Yeah.
But yeah, it really ties into identity well. I've never really thought about it, but yeah, the getting still is so critical when it comes to building a self you're proud of and that you're happy with, and to where you're really optimized in every sense, and where you're deciding from a place that is authentic to you.
Yeah. Slowing, because if you don't slow down, you're just reacting to life. Mm-hmm. And reacting to life is based on old patterns. And so I can never really be authentically myself if I'm just reacting all the time. Mm-hmm. And the reactions from fears is not my best self. It doesn't lead to the type of life that I want. It can be a stage of life.
Yeah.
For sure. And we never not become reactive, totally 100%. But yeah, slowing down, gaining awareness and presence, and operating from a more felt sense of being, integrating that with your beliefs about who you are, and the inspirational side of wanting to be a great human being. Mm-hmm. And so I think we're all great human beings, and if you tap into the natural love and connection that's available to everybody, it just it flows out of you. Mm-hmm. So yeah, connection to yourself and connection to others, mm-hmm. and connection to your environment and the kitties.
Luca's making a guest appearance for all that are strictly listening here. Luca, what are your thoughts on identity? Can you tell us about this? What are your nuggets of wisdom for the evening? Just headbutts. Just headbutts. Give your loved ones headbutts. That's the moral of the story there.
He's just so present that like nothing phases him, you know.
That is the wisdom from the feline, from the
Yes.
feline medicine. It is to accept presence and be present. One thing I think about when it comes to identity calibration and belief systems is usually I need evidence to substantiate a belief about myself.
Yeah.
So, I could lie to myself all I want and say, for example, I'm showing up in my relationship, but if I'm not, following through on a weekly basis to participate in the relationship, there's always going to be part of that. That's bullshit. We don't fully believe that. So I think action and showing up in the world in a deliberate, intentional way is a massive piece of consciously generating an identity of choice. Same thing with me training for my ultra marathon. I had to train for, I didn't have to, but I chose to train for 17 weeks straight so I could, there was some breaks, of course. There was some rest time. But that process leading up to that, I had to commit to that, show up over and over and over again so I could actually complete the race. I complete the race, therefore I am an ultra marathon runner. If I didn't complete the race, I can't call myself that. Or I can, but I'm not going to believe it. And obviously part of me is going to be calling bullshit because I'm not running an ultra marathon. So that was just a thought that came to mind. And I think, a lot of people are unhappy with their lives, but they're not changing their behaviors. So if you're not going to change your behaviors, you're not going to change the way you see yourself,
Yeah. Yeah, the actions that we take start to teach us things about ourselves and who we're capable of becoming. And committing to that process is important. It's one thing to be a mindful meditator, and it's another thing to integrate mindfulness into your daily life so that your expression of who you are shows up in the actions that you take and the life that you build and the synchronicities and experiences that come about and the perspectives that you hold and the people that you meet. And so, yeah, the action piece is definitely important, and I think that's the hardest part.
That is so hard. It's so hard to, for example, it requires minimal effort for me to wake up at 6 a.m. 5 to 6 out of 7 days per week and go outside and get movement in and do a cold plunge and connect with my friends because there's just been years and years of repetition in doing that thing. And at a certain point, you just become that and you're unconsciously competent in the thing. And I think just because, I guess I'm kind of losing where I'm going with this, but the point I'm attempting to make here, or I can't even think of a takeaway.
Well, I could
Maybe you can conclude it for me there.
pick up, I guess, on the consistent repetition.
Yeah, well, I guess the point I was going to make was it's easy for me because to my core, identify as someone that is a healthy person. And I know my values and my behaviors and actions exemplify my values. And there's that sort of closed loop, bi-directional system of behaviors, beliefs about myself, behaviors, beliefs about myself, behaviors. And now it requires very minimal conscious effort to show up in that way because that's who I am. Yeah, so I have that belief consciously and unconsciously. It's integrated way, way, way deep down into me to the point where it's like, it's downloaded and it's there. It's a part of my operating system now.
Yeah, that's an interesting way to think about it too. That's a download that it took a lot of repetition, but it is a part of you because the actions and the beliefs have started to align with each other.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I am feeling that, yeah, just repetition of, I'm thinking that maybe like repetition of behaviors a big thing, and repetition of beliefs too, consciously. I mean, working with both those things and experimenting. Fuck around and find out. Go do 75 hard. See what happens.
Yeah.
Maybe there'll be a real shift within you, because maybe there's a huge part of you that definitely does not want to do 75 hard, and it just hates the whole thing. But perhaps on the other side of that, there's this opening and the momentum there, and a lot of these behaviors remain, and all of a sudden you are that person who's working out, 5 days a week or whatever it is that your goal is to, become a healthy person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so often we don't try new things because we're scared of failing, really. We have this impossible belief that we need to be perfect. I'm not going to try 75 hard because I probably won't do it completely. I'll fail at some point.
Right.
And so what's the point of trying? Well, the point of trying
Yeah.
is to practice and learn. And
Yeah.
it's almost like the expectations and the, perfection that we want to uphold is holding us back from discovering things about ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. Me unconsciously identifying as a perfectionist got me in a very dark place, because nothing was ever good enough. And yeah, it became challenging to be me of course, you're approaching life with the demeanor of unmeetable standards of being and doing and operating, then you're going to be in for a ride. I don't know. I'm getting pretty tired here on the conversation.
Same.
Yeah.
It's been good.
Yeah. Let's do some wrap it up. What are your thoughts on key takeaways from the conversation for the listeners?
Well, building awareness in your everyday experience helps you to see more about yourself and the beliefs that you might hold, to see if you're avoiding feelings or thoughts or discomfort in order to kind of be safe and comfortable. So start to build awareness with practices of presence and things like that. Take imperfect action, as we kind of were describing. How can I build some practices into my life that don't have to be perfect? I can fail. I can learn more about myself. Committing to that everyday practice. Yeah, you have any thoughts to add?
Every choice you make matters in the grander picture of who you are becoming. Every choice you make is a vote for the type of person you will become. So I think being mindful of how you're showing up in the world, in your relationships, in your routine, and how you consume food, and how you speak to yourself, all of these things are going to have an impact in who you are and how you identify. And remembering that, identity is something to hold loosely, as it's always changing. It's very malleable. There's many facets of our identity, it's a dynamic, emerging, creative process, and we do have the opportunity to shape it how we want and treat it similar to how we would treat like an art project. And I would say that's an infinite game. So
Yeah. I had this thought came a while ago. I went to see a show at it was at Bremen Cafe down the road from me, and when I'm at a live concert and I just see like people rocking out and just like doing their thing and just being authentic, kind of, I mean, it's a little corny, but like live like a rock star. Sort of like, you know, we're all rock stars in our own life. And like, if life is like you're the artist and you get to create the painting of who you are and what you want your life to be, there's so much room for freedom and authentic expression, and nobody can say that your art is bad.
People can, but you know, what's their opinion in the end? I mean, how do you feel about it? And what's great about painting is that you can always cover up what you had put down. So, yeah.
There you go.
Heck yeah, man. Well, let's finish off by hearing maybe a little nugget about the Weekend Zen Studio, your new project, and where people can find you.
Yeah, so
Connect more.
Me and my brother Mason started the Weekend Zen Studio, and it is kind of a collective space of ideas, artwork, creative expression. The focus is on sort of like Zen Buddhist philosophy, but it's not exclusive to that. It's pretty open just to exploring who we are and how to live a good life. And right now there's an Instagram page, The Weekend Zen Studio, and there's an Etsy shop with artwork and apparel. But yeah, it's right now in the beginning stages of, it's a bit of a mission, you know, to like bring more presence and love and connection to our lives and to my life. Me and my brother Mason both agreed that this is a practice for ourselves first, and what grows out of it, it can only be good. So yeah.
Let's go, dude. Doing God's work out here. Straight up, dude. For real. This man's doing, I mean, yeah, brother. I'm very excited for the Weekend Zen Studio and however it's going to take form in this world. You guys are already doing really good work. Yeah, I mean, you starting that, I feel like, yeah, the culmination of me getting back into podcasting, there was some inspiration from you. You guys showing your face and voices and hearts on social media. And yeah, that's such a cool thing. You and your bro get to make some magic and write some really solid lore to look back on and just to immerse yourselves in and share what matters most to you. So let's go, my dude. Let's go forth and prosper. I never know how to close these things out. I guess adios, my friends. Be well. Take care of yourselves. And I salute. Peace.
Aloha.